And we are back. We'll see if we can finish it this recording session. At
Yeah.
least Ashton's chapter, I mean. Alright, let's see what the crap show leads us to.
Yeah.
Okay. Though, in all seriousness, a good rest is still our best bet for now. Thinking with an exhausted brain is almost as good as running around in circles. We might as well just throw ourselves at that ghost and be done with this. The local Irish pub may not be the best place to hang around when no one has slept a wink. Or you're stressed. More often than not, it's loud. Sometimes the music played by drunkards grates the ears, and the whole place smells like piss on a bad day. All in all, it's very definition of the last place I'll hang around after a wakeful night. But it's safe. Or as safe as it can be with G's security watching the place. Makes it easy to find help in case you find yourself in a tight spot. The place being owned by a person I've implicitly placed my trust on provides some semblance of comfort too. Gregor, bartender G, or just G to his regular patrons, might be rough around the edges. Sometimes a bit too gruff for a man serving drinks behind the counter. But he belongs to the good folk of this city. If there's anyone in this place I can rely on to look after people important to me, it's probably him. He means well. Surprisingly, despite his surly demeanor, cares to some extent for people he likely only sees once or twice a week, or on a bad day. Not the best job in the world, in my opinion, but that's it, isn't it? In wine, there is truth. Alcohol, in this case. It loosens the tongue, forces one to let his or her guard down. Whatever inhibitions anyone has, it all flies straight out the window after a few glasses. It has made him observant, too. Always has one or two things to say about someone or something. Most of the time it's me, opinionated ass. But God knows how many times I've asked for his help when I'm met with a dead end in a case where I'm in trouble. This time's no different. As expected, the moment we show up, he's kind enough to offer us a room at the back of his shop. A single look at my face, I don't even need to say anything. The next thing we know, he's leading us in. No questions asked. Maybe it's also for this reason why I find myself drifting towards his station hours later, after having gotten that much needed shut-eye. Newly washed drinking glasses and tumblers line the counter's surface when I enter the room. Behind the bar, G's busy wiping each of them clean, likely prepping it for tonight's use. Briefly, he glances up at me once I claim one of the empty stools and grab a rocks glass sitting closest to my elbow, turning it absent-mindedly in my palm just to keep my hands occupied while my brain's busy, still trying to make sense of everything. Even at a dead hour with only a few patrons milling about, this place still smells strongly of liquor. Honestly, I've never grown fond of it. Regardless of how many times I've made a trip or sat here on the same spot, just talking with the old man, I've never been fond of drinking in the first place. Yet, oddly, the nasty odor of a brewery that helps clear the mind this time, along with the lack of the establishment's usual hubbub, the occasional clinking of glasses. Even more bizarre is that, through my lack of words, G doesn't say anything. Although it's clear from the way his mouth has curved up in a tight frown that he has questions. A bucket load of it. He wisely keeps it shut. Instead, he simply focuses back on his work. Rinse, wipe, stash away, repeat. Going through the motions with such familiarity, it's almost a trance. Watching his precise movements quietly like this, with these thoughts swimming inside my head, it's easy to lose track of everything around me. One solid lead on this, one possible way to sort this out. But will it work? Especially if my assumption's correct and that the reason Zach was there yesterday morning is because of the curse. Something must have happened there for him to see the need to visit the place that morning. What if the couple has fallen victim to the curse too? It doesn't fall outside the realm of possibility. I've been so biased that not even thinking that they might be in danger as well. But during the open house with Isabella, they might have seen the letter and... crap.
Stupid, stupid, stupid. Some fucking detective I am.
That's likely the moment when Cooper saw it. If the logic holds, I need to hurry there right away. And if there are answers anywhere, it would be there. It should be there, where all of this mess started. It's not only my life on the line here. There are others. What happened to us? I won't wish on anyone else, no matter how much I loathe them. Or how complicated all of this has suddenly become. The letter, the woman, the mansion, and now there are the voices lacing venom inside every crevice in my head. Murmurs that jeer, scoff, and deride whenever an opportunity presents itself.
It's because you didn't listen.
It's all your fault. Why won't you believe me?
A reminder of what I failed to do and of who I failed. At some point, they all begin to blur together, twining and coiling, every horrid image and memory of her seeking the forefront of my mind. No matter how much I refuse to remember the fear I felt then, to push it as far back as I can, the visions come to me like a deluge. And before I know it, before I can drown, another voice pulls me out of
You
it.
doing good there, boy?
His hand is on my shoulders, gripping it tightly and giving me a light shake. There's relief in his face when I finally look up at him, although his frown appears more distinct than the concern in his eyes. It's deeper now, marred with worry and agitation. He does let go when I offer him a small nod, but the furrow between his eyebrows never leave his face. He always has a knack for reading people, after all. Even someone who can be as closed off or as distant like me. In all the time I've spent in the force, there's only one other person who's as keen as this old guy. The chief. Funny, and weird to some degree. I've pointed it out to him so many times before how much they look alike. Only for the observation to be brushed off with vehement tone. I've never brought it up again after the third time, out of respect for the guy. Whatever it is, it's clear it's something he doesn't want to talk about. Why push, right? However, during times like these, it's impossible for the thought not to come up. He even has the glare down pat. Under his wordless scrutiny, I feel like a dang rookie again.
You're looking a bit green. Sure you got plenty of rest back there? You were only out for an hour or two. Wouldn't hurt to try and get some sleep. I'll keep an eye out.
No need. Don't worry about me. I won't be able to get some sleep anyway.
Now with her face still a clear picture in my mind. No.
I heard that from you before. Not buying it. What's the story this time? This as bad as that case with the guy who ate his own eyeball?
I wish it were. Jesus, stop reminding me. I hated that case. If I didn't know any better, I'd say you get a kick out of telling people about it.
It's useful, you know, for blokes who don't know their limits. Sends them right out the door after I start with a description. Or was it the part when the poor schmuck gouged his eyes out? Nasty, awful, icky stuff, and it gets the job done. Like I said, useful. Don't even need to call security these days if I want to kick someone out. Anyway, pretty sure that pales in comparison to whatever this is now. I haven't seen you this stressed out since I closed that case. The one from 10 years ago with your professor friend.
Abigail and her team weren't able to solve that one, G. No one...
Same difference.
Didn't mean to do that.
Abigail and her team weren't able to solve that one, G. No one has been able to. It just went cold.
Okay. My bad.
But what do I know, eh? I just serve drinks, listen to people's problems and their whining, then make sure they get home safe afterwards. Thing is, I'm also not blind, kiddo. And you can bet your ass I can tell when a person's about to fall apart.
What? Is this some form of therapy from you? Are you going to offer me free drinks now?
Really, I can use some right now. Something to numb the senses. But when has that helped anyone?
In your dreams, kid. Last time someone gave you the hard stuff, your photographer friend had to haul you out of this place almost half naked.
What? So when he gets drunk, he takes his clothes off? Okay.
Hey, I can handle my liquor when I put my mind to it.
Not from what I've seen, nope. Besides, you usually avoid drinking. Either way, it's out of the equation. And when booze no longer counts, we just talk. So, talk. It's not like anyone within earshot will care. That chap over there only wants his cricket matches.
I doubt you believe it, G.
I've heard worse stuff. Try me.
You know that mansion down at Anslum?
Yeah, who doesn't? You live in this town long enough, it's impossible not to hear a thing or two about it. Bloody locals.
Well, my friend found a primitive version of a chain letter in there. Now that we've seen it, we're cursed.
A beat passes. For a long moment, G stands there, unmoving. His hand stops short of placing the glass he's been wiping prior back to a rack on his left. All while he stares at me with eyes that are nothing short of scrutinizing. He probably assumes I'm joking. Who wouldn't? Not a week ago, I've been put in the same position. Even now, in spite of the things I've seen and heard, it simply won't sink in. Or maybe this is just desperation creeping in? The idea that I may not be able to find a way out of this? Whatever the case is, for people who haven't experienced what I'm going through, this'll merely sound like an awful Halloween prank.
It's not a prank.
This must have been what Isabella felt the whole time we made fun of her that day.
This isn't a prank. I saw something.
Now it's too late. We're stuck in a never-ending nightmare where the only way out might be death. And like I've expected, G's reaction to it? An amused laughter. It booms throughout the whole pub after a long bout of silence. Like I've just told him a particularly funny joke.
Okay. Good one, kid. You don't want to spill. No one's forcing you. Seriously, though. Good one.
Although I want to be angry with him, I can't find it in myself. Can't even muster the energy for a scowl or a glare. Nothing but a taste of my own medicine to temper the annoyance bubbling in me, I suppose. In the end, echoing her words, the best I can do.
It's not a joke.
Yeah, all right. Good luck with that. You're on your own. Here I thought you didn't have an ounce of humor in that body. Guess I'm wrong.
He shakes his head, lets out another chuckle before returning to his task. By now, almost half the glasses have been put away. The only ones remaining are the smaller kind used for shots and stemmed ones for cocktails. Despite being busy with his task, his amusement does not entirely disappear from his face. He keeps talking, as if I'm simply another customer he entertains with his stories. But we both know it's more than that, if the wistful expression on him says anything.
Man, can't believe you're the same rookie who walked in here almost a decade ago. Too smart for his own good, that boy. Has always been 2 steps ahead of things. Now he's here, sulking.
I must have screwed up somewhere then.
I must have screwed up a lot. For things to suddenly shift like this. For me to become a mere shadow of the person I used to be.
Nah, I don't think so. This one, screwed up? Not by a mile. It's too early to say. You've still got several years ahead of you, Holmes. Take it easy. But some things change, eh? It has been years, and you were a kid back then. You know, the sort that's a bit unsure, making all the horrible decisions in life he'd eventually be embarrassed to talk about.
You never stopped calling me kid, though.
Well, you still are. It's just that this time, you're sure of who that badge and gun is for. What was it you police types usually say? To protect and serve, yeah?
A significant pause follows at its heels. From both of us, as he allows its meaning to sink in and spur something in me, stirring a feeling both heavy and forceful, but not completely unwelcome. Familiar. Though before I can even clarify what he's trying to imply or gather my thoughts on the matter, G turns away to begin his work on the silverwares. He'll need those too once more of his patrons come in for lunch. Slow and easy. A sharp contrast with the strained air we've been wading through these past weeks. A fleeting moment, but one I allow myself to relish, if only because of its absence lately. The way things are now, this is almost a gift. So when it all ends with the loud shuffling of foot from the adjacent hallway, a sigh is all that leaves me. There's no need for me to look up to know who it is. Zach's treads alone are telling. There's always a weighted set to them, steps that are taken with a lazy cadence. Blah. Like he's always trying to make himself smaller, less conspicuous than he actually is. In a place he's unfamiliar with, he also tends to linger, stand awkwardly at the sides, as if he's all too afraid to break something. That, or he's waiting for a permission of some kind. Either way, he's never been the kind to barrel head first into things or forego courtesy despite appearances. Much like how Rebecca's mother Henning belies her fiery temperament, or Isabella's rare displays of maturity appears at odds with her youth. There has been a lot of those in my life, it seems. More so from the people I've grown closer to over the years. Walking contradictions, we all are. It's a wonder how we ended up as friends in the first place. But maybe that's also exactly why. To some extent, there's still an understanding in there, in knowing, that no matter how long you've been together, or how familiar you are with a person's habits, or how many lifetimes there might be for all of you, one can never fully know a person. Sometimes it works because they merely chose to stay. Sometimes it is as simple as someone extending a hand first for an apology, regardless of every hurtful word said.
Hey, Ash?
This time I glance at him, briefly gauging the mood. Not because reconciliation's an issue for me. Between us, it never will be. But somehow, this is another thing I'm all too afraid to see crumble in front of me. One wrong word. If this is going to end in another argument, we might as well stop as early as now. There's another long pause from him, during which he can't seem to figure out what to do with his hand. In the end, he chooses to stuff both into his pockets and trains his eyes at the now empty space behind the counter. Without our notice, G has slipped back to the kitchen, leaving only the two of us and everything awkward in the world at the moment.
G's name.
Gregor?
Kept thinking Jean.
Nope, it is Gregor. Still, Zack trudges on, a hopeful tone slipping into his voice, simply because it's the only thing he knows to do.
Did you, get any sleep?
It's a start, at least. A stiff one, but a start. The least I can offer in return is that rare honesty.
For a few hours, yeah.
Curt, brusque, not an ounce of friendliness in it. In spite of it, Zack takes it as a sign. Relief washes over him as his shoulders relax and he releases a tense breath. Soon, he's closing the distance he has put between us and flops onto the chair to my right.
I think the better question is if the dreams are pleasant. And for the record, no.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I get those a lot.
He shifts in his seat, coughs, drums his fingers on the counter for a short while, then falls silent. That's it. No apologies. Somehow, that short exchange is all we need. The air changes again, much like everything we've known already. Maybe not for the better, not yet. However, it's less suffocating, with less hostility and resentment. The kind where it's easy to pretend, easy to forget. Not that it's a thing that'll happen anytime soon, but one can dream. In a situation where death might come knocking any time, it's these little hope we cling to. It's these little things we wish will happen again. I'm not an optimistic person by nature. Hopeful, maybe, but never optimistic. Though I want to believe there's a way we'll live through this nightmare. For the sake of the one we've lost. It's just funny how it took all of this to spur these kinds of thoughts in me. I can't even remember the last time something like it has occurred to me. For some reason, after seeing one harrowing thing after another, I've simply forgotten.
Why are you suddenly smiling like that?
Huh? Oh, no, I was just thinking about something.
Well, it better be something that'll get us out of this mess.
What makes you think I know how to fix this? Until 2 days ago, I didn't even believe a word you guys have been telling me. Zack, I function better when I'm dealing with homicide cases. Hell, feel free to throw in the usual robbery and missing persons case into the mix. I don't care. Give me a few days and I'll give you a lead. This isn't how I operate. This isn't what I'm good at. For all you know, I might even end up getting us killed. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Well, the fact that you're frustrated but still trying already means something, Ash. Besides, you don't make that face unless you already have an idea. It can't be any worse than this. Maybe. What's on your mind, Ash?
There really is something about Z-Man. Between Rebecca and him, I tend to share with him things I won't normally say to the other. Unlike her, who pushes, sometimes the same tenacity as her moods, Zack has this strange tendency to ease people into telling him what he wants to know. Oftentimes, the question feels so subtle, it catches me off guard. With less force and more forbearance. After all, out of everyone, he's the most grounded. Really, he's like the older brother I've never had. The kind you can depend on when things go sour. The kind you tell things to simply because he'll listen, without forcing his own opinions on
We
me.
still have one more lead we haven't checked. I'm gonna look into it tonight.
It doesn't take him long to put two and two together, and his calm expression abruptly dissolves to worry, the second he realizes what I meant. We've already examined the letter, read through piles of documents. There's really only one we haven't given a once-over. The mansion. Of course, Zach may not be the kind to push, but that doesn't mean he agrees with everything that comes out of my mouth. It's his way of keeping me steady and on my feet through the years.
Hold on, didn't you tell me not to go in there? Whatever happened to stay away from Luke Wright?
You're an unarmed civilian, Zach.
And so?
So, I want you to stay here and keep yourself safe. I probably won't take too long, but I don't know what might happen. I'm not even sure if I'll find something in there. G will keep an eye on you guys. If you need anything, if that woman shows up, just holler. He'll help out, no questions asked. You don't even need to explain anything.
He's not willing to concede. Not from the manner he grips his knees or the rigid set to his jaw.
I'm going with you. You can't go in there alone, Ash. I heard something. The morning I was there, I heard someone scream and then there was a woman crying, and I don't know what's going on inside that mansion, but I am telling you, you shouldn't face whatever's inside alone.
Before I can stop myself, a heavy breath escapes from my mouth. It's one of those times again where Zach means well, but he's completely missing the point I'm trying to make. When things take a turn for this, when he gets in a mood like this, he's almost as headstrong as Isabella. How and where do I even start? You'll only get in the way. Or, I'd feel better if I don't have to worry about you. Second one?
Yeah.
Okay, went up.
Good.
There are only two ways this will end. I agree with him and take him with me, or I agree with him and drop the idea altogether. Neither appeals more than the other, especially when we're all desperate for answers and a way out. If all it'll take is a little more honesty to make him drop this harebrained idea, so be it.
Look, man. Bro. Z-Man. Zach. Zachary, listen. I know you only want to help.
Like hell! This ain't just about helping, Ashton! You're throwing yourself in the thick of it on your own!
He's yelling!
Everyone's gonna stare at him.
Oh.
Like, what the frick's wrong with this guy?
Yeah, it's like, bro, whoa, what's going on?
Was your fall last night really that bad? Did you hit your head hard? I honestly can't tell if you've gone stupid or just plain suicidal.
My head's okay, Zach. But it won't stay that way if we don't do anything about this. Someone has to.
Seriously, this is already a desperate move. The longer we dally, the faster we're losing our options. Do we even have one? Looking back at it, this whole business with the ghost seems perfectly set up to drive us into a corner. Either until we lose our mind or she gets us. Starting to feel as if there isn't an escape. We've already become her playthings the second Isabella found that letter. That our lives are in our hands ticks me off big time. But the idea of watching the people I care about die helplessly, more so. They're much safer here than with me. It's a selfish thought, I know, born out of fear. So, in case things go awry, the very last thing I want to happen is for Zach to take the fall with me. I've already made enough mistakes.
And that means it's just you.
Just me.
Suddenly, he clams up. Although his actions, the restless shift in his shoulders, his mouth pressing close in a tight line, and how he starts off again in a quiet note, it all gives away his real thoughts, long before two words have even made it out of his mouth.
sure you already know about this. This won't really bring her back. Maybe this is you trying to make amends, or whatever. I don't know. You're making your own decisions here. But if something happens to you, it'll be just that. You'll just be another dead body out there. Please, don't do something like this.
Don't worry. I'm not stupid enough to get myself killed. I just want things to go back to normal, Zach.
Another dead air follows at the heels of that one admission. The meaning of my words, too heavy, too striking. It stuns us into another lull. Optimism aside, we're both aware that's impossible. We're going to have to deal with the trauma right after. There will be the images, the voices whispering inside our heads, the foreboding of feeling, the stench of blood, gore, and death trailing after us. We may survive this, but those things, they will remain in us for a long time. One does not survive something like this without it leaving something in you. Just the mere thought of what might come right after makes me dread it. What this has changed in all of us. But I suppose that outcome is more acceptable. The lesser of two evils.
3 hours.
My head snaps up and I turn to him, puzzled. He's staring at his hands with a thoughtful expression, brows furrowed in deep concentration. Like he's trying to choose the right words to convey what he's about to say.
3 hours? For what?
That's more than enough time to go there, to check things, like you said, and travel back here. If you don't show up here beyond that, I'm going after you.
From his tone, it sounds almost like a warning. I'm sure it's not his intention. But hearing something like that from a person like Zach, I can't help but chuckle and throw in a jibe, despite how dire things are. Just like the old times.
Make that 4.
What? You said you're just gonna check things. Why would you even need that long?
Speed limit? I'm a ranked law enforcement officer, Zach. I'm supposed to set an example.
I so wanna punch you right now.
Of course, Zach never carries it out. In light moments like this, it's just how he is. How we are. Unfortunately, G chooses the next moment to show up. He slams the flat of his palm on the counter and shooting us both a stern look. Although his tone's nothing short of jovial, the disapproval's clear in it. He's obviously misunderstanding the situation.
Boys, drummer's nice and all. I used to watch these bloody god-awful afternoon serials with one of me brothers many, many years ago. But listen, I am not having one in my pub, all right? You two want to fight? Go out.
A pregnant pause?
What?
I've never heard of that before.
An unusual
What does
phrase.
that mean? A pregnant pause.
Well, that makes no sense. What does this mean?
Pregnant pause?
What does this mean?
It's a 9-month-long pause?
What?
Why is that funny?
That makes no sense.
Then, without any preamble, Zach and I are both
Look
snickering.
at Zach's face. I just realized. Look at his face. That doesn't look natural.
No, it kind of looks strange. And G's glower melts into confusion. When we both show no sign of stopping, he simply shakes his head and turns away. I'd like to think it's better this way. Better that we part on light terms, so Zach won't have to see every little insecurity, every little doubt in me right now. He's seen enough. The last thing I want him to glimpse is another display of weakness. Not when he still stares at me with the same unerring confidence in his eyes. When our mirth dies down, before anything can be said further, before I can change my mind, I step away from them, giving Zach's shoulder a quick few pats, mumbling a lame excuse about taking another short nap under my breath, altogether burying the stray thought that flashes fleetingly in my head.